the leading receiver for the Rams with 92 yards receiving, but those 4 interceptions really hurt LA's case. In fact, the last one near the end of the game was critical and sealed the game for the Giants, throwing that touchdown into the end zone where it was picked off attempt for a touchdown. So the Giants get the win 17-10 the final score in that one. More games to come on this NFL Sunday, including the undefeated Minnesota Vikings taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Quarterback Carson Wentz will lead his 3-2 team against the undefeated Vikings and their vaunted defense.
They fly around, they play with a lot of confidence. You can tell they're coached really well. They have some really good schemes. They don't do a ton. They like to mix it up on third downs, but they just do what they do and they do it well.
That game's coming up in just a couple of minutes. Redskins and Lions in Detroit, Saints and Chiefs coming up, Colts and Titans, Browns and Bengals, Cleveland looking for their first win of the season. Raiders and Jaguars, Bills and Dolphins, Ravens and Jets on the early schedule. A bit later on at 4:25 Eastern time, it's the Steelers and the Patriots, but Ben Roethlisberger will not play in that game. He'll be out for a while. He had surgery on his knee. Landry Jones in at quarterback for Pittsburgh in that one. World Series starts on Tuesday. That's the Cubs and the Cleveland Indians, 8 o'clock. Game 1 in Cleveland. The Cubs are the World Series favorite. This is NBC Sports Radio.
Inland Empire's largest and longest-running business-to-business networking event returns to the Ontario Convention Centre Wednesday, October 26th for the 10th annual Inland Empire's largest mixer. Join local chambers of commerce and business organizations and discover new business service providers from nearly 200 exhibitors. Learn new ways to grow and improve your business. Connect with potential customers, gain new leads and referrals, all while sampling from local restaurants and caterers. If you do business in the Inland Empire, you can't afford to miss this event. The 10th annual Inland Empire's largest mixer is open to the general public and entire business community. So grab your business cards and get ready to mix and mingle. Wednesday, October 26th from 4 to 8 p.m. at the Ontario Convention Centre for the ultimate business networking event. Admission is just $20. For exhibitor and attendee information, visit iemixer.com. That's iemixer.com for Inland Empire's largest mixer, where business meets business.
Joe Britt is ready to work for Rialto. After nearly 30 years in service to Rialto, Joe Britt is ready to step up to the City Council. Joe Britt is ready to handle Rialto's issues of economics and public safety. Joe Britt believes that it's time to stop the musical chairs political game and put Rialto's citizens first. You'll find Joe's website at gojoebritt.com. On November 8th, vote Joe Britt, Rialto City Council.
I'm Joe Britt, and I approve this announcement.
Paid for by Friends of Joe Britt for Rialto City Council.
This is Kcaa.
Hello, this is Deputy Sheriff Paul Schrader. When principle, leadership, experience matters, Mike Safey is your first choice for Redland City Council and first on the ballot. I've known Mike Safey for years. He's a business owner, a family man, and your first choice for Redland City Council.
When it comes to public or private service, Mike Safey has the experience in both worlds. Mike Safey's been a CEO for 20 years, owned a small business, employed dozens of people, and serves in key supervising roles for public safety and special investigations for the county. Mike's assisted in $80 million transportation and $110 million flood control budgets. Mike's a longtime community activist, contributes to our community of Redlands, and is the right choice on November 8th. Mike Safey is your first choice for Redlands City Council on the ballot. For more info, go to votemikesafey.com. That's votemikesafey.com.
I'm Mike Safey, and I approve this message.
Why should you vote Democrat in San Bernardino County? Because Democrats have delivered. While Republicans in Washington were busy obstructing the president at every turn and taking record-length vacations, Democrats in California were working to make our county and our state a great place to live. Democrats like Congressman Pete Aguilar helping to actually rebuild San Bernardino by securing $2.8 million for our local law enforcement. Under Democratic-led California, our state is enjoying unprecedented prosperity. We're now the 6th largest economy in the world. Classrooms are being properly funded, jobs are being created, and more new business has come to our state. Under Kamala Harris, California has gotten tougher on crime. On November 8th, vote for Hillary Clinton and vote for local Democrats who are working hard to serve the people first. For more info, go to SanBernardinoDemocrats.com. That's SanBernardinoDemocrats.com.
Kcaa.
All right, it is time for Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen on the case. The truth and justice with the right information to help improve the situation. What do you mean improve the situation, Wallace? Everything is perfect. Oh, okay. That means what? What does that mean? If everything's perfect, that somebody's lying, according to Anthony. How are you doing this morning, Anthony?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
The Mood Master. I'm doing well.
When am I going to hear one of your poems again? It's been a long time since the people heard some of your poems.
You know, sometimes you remind me of why I ask you not to talk. You put the pressure.
We were talking about Sir Wallace.
You always put the pressure. In,
act like a knight. Act like a knight, Sir Wallace.
I will feel it. And Anthony, thank you for reminding me of my responsibilities. I have been given a bit of a talent with poetry words, and I should share that, and I shall. I definitely will. But I want to remind people that this day is an important day. We've only got X number of days before the election. John, did I mess something up? Am I all right here?
No, my headphones are not on.
That's all right. Well, Mr. Garcia, we're only a few days before a very important election, and we have talked to people in the last couple of weeks about the California propositions, 17 of them. We've discussed, I think, through 61. And I say discuss, we haven't really hardcore discussed them. Our purpose in talking about them has been, one, to remind you that these are very important issues, and two, that the Northwest Project redevelopment area is having a forum. And that forum is going to be, well, now it says Thursday, October 29th. October 29th is a Saturday. Is that not right? Check your calendar for me. October 29th, that's a Saturday. Yeah? Boy, that's really interesting. Okay, yeah, October 29th. Saturday, October 29th. 9 o'clock in the morning. The Ingram Community Center will be the site of the forum where the Northwest Redevelopment Project Area Committee is having a opportunity to discuss the propositions and some of the measures for the city of San Bernardino. They encourage you to be there. I will be there, and I think it's going to be a very informative and somewhat entertaining. It's got to be entertaining. If we're going to be talking about politics here in California, talking about propositions, these measures that some are made up by the actual legislature, some are made up by citizens, and some are made up by some things like, I don't know what, people who are trying to make money on the deal. This is America. Capitalism is the mode of choice, and making money is how you demonstrate your affection for capitalism. But what you do with that money, now that's a whole other thing. I encourage everybody to go out and make a lot of money if they can do that, but how you spend it, what you do with it, how you share it, how you develop your community, how you develop your children. Developing your children is developing our community, by the way. So, but anyway, we want to introduce our on the phone friends here, Mr. Robert Torres, a Lytle Creek resident, and Mr. Leonard Evans, a retiring businessman who discovered a great product in his closet as he retired and is unretiring. Something about finding a little money potentially always kind of wakes us back up and pulls us into the fast lane. Mr. Evans, how are you this morning? Delightful and delighted, I imagine. I was just...
oh, yes. When I got up this morning, I decided that is how I was going to feel.
That's important, because many people wake up and decide to be as evil as hell. And they are. I think that
some go to bed that way.
Some go to bed that way, according to Anthony. He's right about that.
People will continue to do that. until they realize it's not in their own best interest to have those feelings, and they can choose different feelings.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I guess if you're sitting in a, I don't know, where does it pay to wake up and be an evil person? I don't know. God made them something that way, so it surely must have a purpose. I'm not exact what
At
it
the
is.
mother-in-law's house?
Now, Anthony here, again, Anthony said if you're waking up at your mother-in-law's house, that's not, my mother-in-law is a delightful woman, and when I wake up at her house, I'm usually smelling pancakes and sausage and eggs or something, you know?
You're not eating crow over there.
Okay, and Mr. Robert Torres, how are you this morning?
Oh, this is the man with the tan from the Yucatan.
Kcaa, Chihuahua.
No, Chihuahuas, just those English corgis. And they are a special breed unto themselves. Other than that, thank you for having me. And we can finish bringing up and speaking about the propositions that will impact the citizens of the Inland Valley.
Well, and throughout the state of California, because these are propositions that the state people are voting on. I think we left off last week talking about Prop 61. I'm at a handicap today because I don't have a reader here, and my glasses are, you know, they're kind of like my eyes. They work a little bit. But we talked about 61. That's the one that has the prescription changes, that has everybody to, all of the state purchased prescriptions to be indexed to the Veterans Administration prices. People are concerned that the state doesn't represent everybody who's going to purchase pharmaceuticals, and so they say that it's going to leave some people out of that power to purchase at the low price, and that the state joining the vets at doing that is going to cause others who are not able to have to pay more. I'm not sure how that goes. I kind of like the way Bernie Sanders is making his commercial. He's saying it's a challenge to the pharmaceuticals. Maybe this is the first step. I'm not all the way sure. I'm advising people to come to a forum. Let's discuss it with a little bit more information. But I'll tell you what, on the 30th, that's next Sunday, I will be absolutely sure of how I feel, and I will be making a recommendation on that measure. I'm not sure if my two cohorts on the phone will agree with me. If not, we'll have a nice heated argument for no more than a minute. We'll set our clocks, and we'll argue down for a minute. I'll have the last minute because
let's look at status quo.
Well, all of those things we'll decide. But hey, both of you guys, as I spoke to you earlier today, and we'll go on to Prop 62. You guys want to mention anything about 61 at this point? Good. Okay, we'll go on to 62 in a moment. But both of you guys did say something to me about, 62. We just discussed this. 61, the time limit was up. You guys didn't have anything to say. And, okay. All right, so you have something to say about 61. That's the pharmaceuticals. 30 seconds, yes. No more than that, please.
Who's going first?
You can. Robert, go ahead.
Okay, on 61, the road towards civil.
Okay, Robert, you got 30 seconds on this one.
Long and these parks move slow. This is a beginning step. Other than that, you go to $1,000 for pre-pen, or let's see, you need what they call a specialty chemical, and that's $20,000 a pop. So no. Citizens need to be able to negotiate with mega pharmaceuticals on what cost of living.
27, 28, 29, 30. Good deal, Robert. Okay, we'll get back to that. Leonard, any comment? 30 seconds for you on 61.
It's just, as I said before, it seems to me that it's hard to not save money, bottom line, for everyone involved by getting better prices on pharmaceuticals.
Very good point. Now, how to get to that is
especially if the VA is already doing it successfully.
And they are. We're going to take a short break. We'll come right back. We're going to discuss 62. And both of you gentlemen have had some words to say about the integrity of our voting system, the response to the attack on our voting system. Are we getting it right? Is it rigged? Is it riggable? We're going to talk about that too. We'll be right back. This is Wallace Allen, and I appreciate you hanging in here, folks. It's going to get really warm in a few minutes. Don't go away.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
Joe Britt is ready to work for Rialto. After nearly 30 years in service to Rialto, Joe Britt is ready to step up to the City Council. Joe Britt is ready to handle Rialto's issues of economics and public safety. Joe Britt believes that it's time to stop the musical chairs political game and put Rialto's citizens first. You'll find Joe's website at gojoebritt.com. On November 8th, vote Joe Britt to the Rialto City Council.
I'm Joe Britt, and I approve this announcement.
Paid for by Friends of Joe Britt for Rialto City Council.
KCAA, where every day is a great day.
This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen on the case for truth, justice, and the American way. Now,
everybody's alive. Who's alive? Who's awake?
There's some question about what is the American way.
What is the American way? Wait a second. That is way.
That's a good question. And anybody who would like to know the answer to that, get on the internet and look at Why We Fight, a war training film made back in the 40s.
I'm sorry.
And that really breaks down what's going on. And everyone who lives in America owes it to themselves to see this documentary to get a clear picture of what this country is all about and what we stand for and what we fight for.
Well, give us a short synopsis of that film, Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans, give us a...
about hundreds of millions of ballots that get cast. To have an effect on the outcome of that is extremely difficult. Not impossible.
Mr. Evans.
Extremely difficult because it requires the cooperation of thousands and thousands of people in different states to pull it off. It's
Mr.
too big
Evans.
a thing to hide is what I'm getting at here. So forget about
Joe,
that.
help me get Mr. Evans' attention, please.
The media.
Thank you.
My turn?
No, hold on a second. I've just, as we go through this, it's important, to have a band conductor. Mr. Evans, you gave me talked about a movie that you thought was really critical. Robert had something to say about it. Would you give us a 30-second synopsis of the movie so we get an idea of what you're saying? And would you bring Mr. Evans back down? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is August.
Hold on, Mr. Take them both off. Hold it, guys. Listen up. Come on now. If you gotta listen as much as you want to talk, and I want to hear you, but I can't hear you if we don't, get some. So Robert, I took Mr. Evans off so I could get him back to clarify. And as soon as he came back on, you ask a question, and I know your question is important. So we're gonna try it again, Mr. Evans, please.
Again,
that's okay. That's okay, Robert. I'm trying to talk to Mr. Evans now. We're still trying to get Mr. Evans' answer. Mr. Evans, we asked you to tell us a little bit about the movie you were talking about. Folks, I told you it was going to get entertaining here. Mr. Evans, you were going to tell us a little bit about the movie. Other than that, the wording is important and the message is important. Tell us a little bit about the message and how it's presented.
But do you want me to go back over?
No. I want you to give us a short synopsis of the movie, please, so that we can hear you. You haven't been on the air for a moment. You're back on the air now, and we'd like to hear a synopsis of the movie, please.
Well, the
30
media
seconds,
sells its credibility, the mainstream media, the big networks. If you listen to a broadcast, they're always talking about we're the source that you can trust. And in a competitive environment, they try to find each other saying things that are not true so that they can win the trust of the people and discredit these competitors. However, in the internet, there is nobody that is really busy looking at everything that's on the internet as to whether or not it's true.
Okay. All right, so
you have a better chance of getting accurate information.
Very good, very good. So,
Media
Mr. Evans, what you're telling me is that what you're saying to us, then, Mr. Evans, is that the internet is a. So you're telling us that the internet is a good source of information. That's great. We appreciate that. I thought somehow you were going to tell us about this movie that was so important that we all see, but we didn't get that. So we're going to move on a little bit, and we're talking now about the election. Is it rigged? Okay, and let's bring Mr. Torres down to speak about his concept and concerns about the election process and Mr. Trump's statement that many people are following along with that says it's rigged, and many other people said it was rigged prior to Trump saying it. I think Mr. Bernie Sanders was one of the people who said it. I think I repeated it. I think there's certain aspects of life that are rigged also. So, Mr. Robert Torres, resident of Lotto Creek here in San Bernardino Valley, one of the wise men, sir.
Well, I ain't a wise man.
Yes, you are.
I'm less than common.
No.
Go to rigged systems. Yes, they're rigged. Let's go back to Janet Reno when she was Attorney General of Florida, and the votes were being snapped and rigged up by computer processor systems in Central. That was called to her attention. She did nothing, and then Al Gore lost the race in Florida. All about the same. But that's
Robert, are you saying something that people knew before, or something that they're speculating after as a result of? And is there any real evidence of what you're talking about?
This they knew before, and anyone who catches Democracy Now! Broadcast here and then can go on to their website and find this documentation. Mm-hmm. Now let's go on to present rigging. When you have candidates that meet the national standard to get on the ballot, and you do not let them debate an open national debate, I don't know what you call that.
Mr. Evans.
What you call that is the American system. I've often said that Stalin in Russia, in Soviet Russia, said he didn't care if the people voted as long as he got to count the ballots.
Yeah, now that is
to Iran.
The ballot counter is definitely important.
Elections, you can't get on the ballot unless the head clerics approve you. So yeah, the people get to vote, but who they get to vote for is predetermined. In America, you have a more open system. However, the political parties have done their best to close it up as much as possible. So, effectively, to get on the ballot in a significant position, you have to agree with the party that you're going to go along with the party line, or you don't get on the ballot, you don't get on the primary in the first place. And that's why.
Okay. Let's stop right there if we can, Mr. Evans. Let's stop there if we can.
For the people,
Mr.
to
Evans,
be able to have the selection of the candidate of their choice, so they are not disenfranchised.
Mr. Evans.
By, say, for example.
What we'd like to talk, Mr. Evans, thank you. That's good. Let's stop right there and talk about the idea of of clear election. Is this something that people should have total access to? That's a real question.
The good old voter suppression.
Well, voter suppression is an issue. Access to the election is an issue. Is the two-party system fair in the sense that, and because there's a two-party system, there's still room for people in the third party, fourth party. Should the media, or does the media have control over this? Is there anything that demonstrates that people can do this without the media? Does social media come in on this? Mr. Evans, Mr. Torres, let's widen the concept of who's really in charge of the election. Is it just the two parties, or do the people have more to do with this than we actually are doing?
That's 4 questions. How do you want them answered?
Eat the cake the way you like it. Some people like the frosting first.
And they realize.
Say that again?
And yet the evidence is so clear that votes matter. Look at this. You've got parties spending hundreds of millions of dollars for what? To get people to vote for them. And yet I see people on TV saying, oh, voting for the lesser of two evils has never worked out for me. All that kind of stuff.
My 30 seconds.
Discounting the value of votes when it's so clear
from
the amount of money being spent to get votes that votes are valuable. Votes matter.
That's why I guess some.
I don't know. I could wind up shouting and screaming if people haven't understood this fundamental about America at this point.
Well, now
raising my voice about it.
Giving people access to.
I'm simply pointing out the fact people don't seem to realize how important.
Yes, they. Yeah, they do. The ones that vote do. The ones that vote realize it.
Establishes their value in dollars and cents, not to mention in other ways.
Well, now let me ask you this: since there's people out there who probably could use some money, is it fair to just pay the media and promoters? Why not just pay for the vote?
Okay, may I answer?
Yeah, please.
Well,
Mr. Evans, let Mr. Torres do that.
That's exactly what people did. However, that's been determined to be, that's against the...
Mr. Torres, go ahead.
Okay, on the media. They're on public airways. They get a benefit from it. They make profits from it. Yes, you must put some back in. They're getting tax breaks. So, yeah, you're responsible to report if you're going in the arena of public discourse. Now, when it comes to voter...
Okay, let's stay on the media there for a second. Now, for some reason, there was a promotion recently that was talking about media being fair and balanced and this, that, and the other. But if we go historically back and look at media through the life of America, media usually was the weapon of whoever owned the media to whip and to shape the attitudes and opportunities that they wanted to make happen.
That's always been the case. The big newspaper owners, they shape the attitude of America.
So now with the advent of social media, are we seeing any kind of movement away from the total influence of the big newspaper, TV people? Shouldn't do we now?
Well, answer that question.
Well, the answer is there. You got a person like a personality like a Kim Kardashian who's maybe got 40, 50 million followers. There's not too many newspapers that I'm aware of that have that kind of subscription list. You
have to look at advertising.
Well,
yeah. What advertisers are doing, because
but before we do that, no. Before we do that, let's look at the thing that attracts advertisers, and it's the numbers. Now, if we've got people with social, well, this is a question that I'd like to think about over the break. If social media has people with followers that number in the 50, 60 million people, and when we do, Are those people as powerful as the local newspapers who have, if they're lucky, you know, the LA Times, what, maybe 4 million subscriptions? I don't know if they've got that many. But
they have some influence, but they don't have the authority.
Well, now authority is important to people who are looking for responsibility behind the recommendation.
Something that's published in a major newspaper as opposed to something that someone says. Big difference.
Okay, so you're saying that, all right, we'll talk about it right after the break. So there should be some documentation. Ooh, some sourcing. Ooh, that's amazing. Ooh, some reason for our answer. Ooh, that's amazing. Empire Talks back. We'll be back right after this break.
Publish your legal notice in Westside Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. Westside Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call Westside Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
Joe Britt is ready to work for Rialto. After nearly 30 years in service to Rialto, Joe Britt is ready to step up to the City Council. Joe Britt is ready to handle Rialto's issues of economics and public safety. Joe Britt believes that it's time to stop the musical chairs political game and put Rialto's citizens first. You'll find Joe's website at gojoebritt.com. On November 8th, vote Joe Britt to the Rialto City Council.
I'm Joe Britt, and I approve this announcement.
Paid for by Friends of Joe Britt for Rialto City Council.
You're listening to KCAA, your good neighbor along the way.
This is Empire Talks back on Wallace Allen, and are we ignoring the fact that, Donald Trump is a master manipulator of the media? Oh my goodness. This is a man who's able to tell you that you're doing something. He's able to tell you you're doing something that you may or may not be doing, but he says it with such conviction that you start examining yourself and maybe start doing the other thing so that you don't do what he was accusing you of. And, you know, rigged? Yeah. I mean, if we can look at a newspaper's banner and generally tell whether they're Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal, we can kind of predict that they're going to be doing some things. And if more of the people out there are inclined to be against me, especially since I've used them up during the prelims as getting all the free publicity in the world, beating them up, getting free publicity, and now I move into the finals and I'm still not giving them a lot of money. I have to know that they're going to be leaning the other way. I'm not paying them. They're getting paid big money by the other people. I do know that there's a schism between the editorial side and the advertising side, but the advertising side actually is the guy that controls everything, because if they don't get any money, there will be no honey. So Mr. Trump decides to say, you guys are rigging it against me. You're not giving me my coverage. Well, nobody's going to stand up and say, Donald, you're not paying us. The advertising guy standing in the middle of the room saying, well, you ain't paying us, I don't care. But the editorial side is not, that's not their motivation. But if Donald is accusing us of it, and the fact is we're full of advertising from the other side, maybe it does. Maybe we better give him a break. That's what you better look out for, folks. This guy is manipulating. So, people, my two people, Mr. Robert Torres, Mr. Leonard Evans, let me ask the question, Robert. Let me ask the question. Is social media living up to its potential in discussing its view of this election, or is it letting the general media be motivated by advertising, and is that advertising rigging the election? Those two questions. Can we get an answer on that? or something similar to that. You guys are good at pivoting just
The
like.
advertising isn't rigging the election.
Okay. How about you, Mr. Torres? You think it? Do you think?
The person complaining about it is the one who knows how to get the cameras to turn attention to him and put him on the air.
And he's been doing that. He's been doing
Very
that
successfully.
exceptionally successful.
Calling attention to himself and getting what he says put on the air at no cost to him.
Free.
That's right.
Driving the sales department crazy. Believe me.
So he is largely determining what gets carried as a news item, and he forgets to say that in all this so-called rigging, most of what's happening is simply his own words being reported in the news media. If he never said these things, there would be nothing to talk about.
Do you think that him saying that it's rigged is a response to him thinking it's rigged, or do you think that's to manipulate them to be a little softer and carry his message a little better?
And I think that's designed for post-election positioning.
Robert, you played a little basketball growing up on the East Coast. When a guy comes onto the court and tells you, I'm going to play, but my leg is sore. I'm going to do this, but my hip is not working right. What is that?
Don't expect much from me.
Yeah, yeah.
Disabled persons are not gold brickers. Mr. Trump's behavior has been described between pages 150 and 158 of Mein Kampf, written by Adolf Hitler. Don't take my word for it. Read the darn things. You'll laugh as hard as I do.
That's in Why We Fight on the internet. Look it up. Watch those episodes, because I know what you're talking about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, now that you brought it up again, what is Why We Fight? Give us a short capsulization of that. You got it right.
These are training films for inductees into the Army.
Hey, Leonard, after you watch the movie, the answer to the title should be, you should be able to answer the title. So why do we fight? Short.
To preserve our liberty and protect our freedom of religious choice.
Ducats.
That's right. No, and does it say anything about the right for economic advantage, or does it talk more about our moral structure and things of that sort?
It talks about the economic opportunities that freedom brings, and how fascism takes away the right to collective bargaining. And that under fascism, they pay you what they want to pay you and work you as much as they want to work you. And that's what we're fighting to prevent happening here.
And that's a fight.
We want freedom. And this idea that Mein Kampf says destroy their confidence in their leaders, undermine their institutions, sow chaos and fear, so that they'll be ripe for plucking. This is how Hitler conquered Europe.
I love it. It's
Southern
so funny.
France was all Vichy government, which was in cahoots with the Nazis.
Mr. Evans,
the
my
Nazis
turn.
had people in prominent positions in
Very good.
France and England
Leonard?
pushing politics on behalf of joining up with Hitler.
Very good. So you've given us a good view
And
of.
in Trump, it talks about.
So Mr. Evans gave us a good review of the movie. Mr. Torres, what do you have to say?
Why We Fight for Freedom is skewed.
Well, no, he was speaking of the movie. So this is your opinion now, right? Why We Fight for Freedom.
I live up here in the mountains, and my signals are minimal. The only time I get to hear your radio is when I'm listening to you on the telephone.
That's okay. That's okay. He does that by dialing 832-999-1050. And if your signal isn't clear, you can hear us clear as a bell by doing that too. And Robert, we
Thank you
appreciate
very
that.
much for having us on the air, sir.
No, it's our privilege to hear from you. So I'm going to bring Mr. Evans back in. And what we're talking about here, guys, is I heard Mr. Garcia say, and make money. We don't want to forget, I don't want to forget, that though, and I started the program with this conversation about making money. And making money is not an easy thing to do, and those people who have the talent and fortune should be turned loose to do it. Distributing money is another thing. The distribution of money, I think, describes your humanity and your.
When you say money, do you mean profits?
I mean profits, as well as what you call your expense line, because your expense line is very definitive. If part of your expense line is jobs, and you are creating. Everybody's working, then there should be no limit on your profit and what you do with it. But because most of the time, everybody is not working, everybody does not have access to all that they need, then you describe your level of civilization by what you do with the money to provide for those who are not as aggressive and excellent in generating and making money. Many of those people tend to be the artist with the great song that he only did one of, and the publishers and all the big guys didn't appreciate him enough to make him rich. And that's most of our artists. We have some very rich and wealthy artists, and they obviously, I think, deserve to be so. But their art isn't described by the money. Okay, so all of that simply. Go ahead, Robert.
Okay, just now your spin on money. Now again, there's that little old a guy in Italy who says money is the dung of the devil, and then we're saying money is free speech. So free speech is the dung of the devil. So imagine what the devil.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't go along with the first statement, that being, the premise that money is.
I didn't say that. That's that little guy, with all those.
Well, I don't think he said it either. I think most of those people, if you get into their religious statement, they said the money's not the root of all evil. It's the love of money, and I think that comes in everybody's little Bible. That when they read it, that says money's the root of evil. And when they read it correctly, they realize it says the love of money is the root of all evil.
Now, and the love of money, the philosopher from Africa, Antioch. 3rd century AD, 325 writes about money. He says, money, the root of corruption. The root of corruption is privilege that is granted when you have enough money. So for your want and need of privilege, you're corrupted with money. And we can go spinning around that thing for months.
No, but the egg or the egg or the chicken. Those are that's the point and the question. But I think that describes the mystery of life. That you are either one of those trying to be the other. You're either a person trying to create something, an egg, or you are a person trying to be something. Well, no, you're a chicken trying to create an egg, or you're an egg trying to grow into a chicken. I don't know what all of that means, but I'll have it figured out by the end of this break we're going to take right now.
Hey.
Robert?
You got people like me who are just the amino acids that are going to trigger something no matter what happens.
we call that what do we call this guy, a firecracker or something like that?
Oh, no. One of the professors at Cal State called me old truth, and he says about old truth when it speaks, nobody wants to listen.
Wow. Well, I'm gonna call you something during the break.
Oh, yeah. Call me at home too.
Hang on, we'll be right back. This is Empire Talks Back. I'm Wallace Allen, speaking with my friend Leonard Evans and my friend Robert Torres.
Love of money.
And we're going to talk about love of money when we come back.
The love of money
Yes.
is the root of all evil, not money itself. Money is the...
Give me money, 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 money. Coming back.
Publish your legal notice in West Side Story newspaper. For the best service and the best rates, call 909-384-8131. Publishing legal notices in the city and county of San Bernardino since 1990. West Side Story provides friendly expert service. Call 909-384-8131 to benefit from budget-friendly rates. Whether a fictitious business name, a name change, a divorce summons, or any other legal or public notice, call West Side Story newspaper 909-384-8131. 909-384-8131. That's 909-384-8131.
Joe Britt is ready to work for Rialto. After nearly 30 years in service to Rialto, Joe Britt is ready to step up to the City Council. Joe Britt is ready to handle Rialto's issues of economics and public safety. Joe Britt believes that it's time to stop the musical chairs political game and put Rialto's citizens first. You'll find Joe's website at gojoebritt.com. On November 8th, vote Joe Britt to the Rialto City Council.
I'm Joe Britt, and I approve this announcement.
Paid for by Friends of Joe Britt for Rialto City Council.
For more local radio every day, tune into KCAA Loma Linda.
Empire Talks back. I'm Wallace Allen on the case for truth and justice with the right information to help improve the situation. And you may be one of the people who is out of work, looking to start a new career. Well, there's a class that you can take that will teach you how to fly a drone. It'll guarantee you to pass the test, the Part 107 knowledge-based test necessary for SUAS rated pilots. If you're flying a drone, people, you're actually a pilot. You have to get a pilot's license to do that. There is a class that the Sevens Camp is putting on that will allow you to earn that pilot's license. You will need to make a phone call. The class is only $700, by the way. You'll need to call 909-353-2477. That's 909-353-2477. You can take the pilot's class that will earn you the right to get that certified drone license. And I'm saying drone because you'll recognize that. You don't know what a SUAS rating is, but you know what a drone rating is. So see you there, folks. That's a great class. Something to help you make some money in the future. Open me up again. What's the name of that song? Money, 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 money. You got that? You got
money, 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 money.
You got that song? Give it to me, Anthony.
Money, 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 money.
Talking about that money, folks. Okay.
Money provides you choices.
It provides you choices. It describes. Most people get up and spend their day chasing money down, and so money is important as a goal. And then after you get it, you know what you do with it is very important. I'm not going to give you.
It is very important. Yeah. However, you should consider that before you get it.
Well, that's true. That's true. You don't have as much of an argument. But before we get into that,
getting it is one thing.
Before we go there,
the next thing.
We are obligated, folks. We've got 3 or 4 of these propositions to talk about. Death penalty, guys. Do you think we should have a death penalty or not? That's basically what Prop 62 says. It has to do with the cost of keeping people alive while they fight fight for their rights as
it's money.
Well, it's money again. Yeah, if you're on the death sentence, you've got all kind of appeal rights, and those appeal rights cost a lot of money and they take a lot of time. 62 says they're gonna repeal the death penalty, replace it with lifelong sentences. Now, that's what 62 says. I don't know what your opinion is on it, guys, but let's at least.
That was an easy one.
My opinion on the death penalty is that it is an admission of failure on the part of society at large, and it represents a waste.
Should we have it or not?
Because not only have we missed the opportunity to turn that individual into a productive citizen, but now we're going to spend huge amounts of money, $50,000 or $100,000 a year, keeping them confined and watching their health for the rest of their life.
Point taken, point made, point taken. There is another Proposition 66 that changes the procedures of the government. This has to do with the death penalty also, that challenges the court sentences. There's a proposition that gets rid of the death sentence, and there's a proposition that changes the procedures regarding what
its
death sentence
application.
means.
Okay.
So you got to look at both of those. If 65 passes, 66 goes out the door. If 66 passes, 65 goes out the door. I don't know what's going to happen if both of them pass. I think we'll clarify that. One of them does kill the other one off. I'm not sure which does. Folks, we can go to the forum. You'll find that out. Or if you wait till next Sunday, you'll find out for sure. Because we will tell you.
That's right.
How about the viewpoint from the fool on the hill?
Okay. Let me give you this one. Firearms ammunition sales. They want to tax ammunition sales so that people will not be able to, that'll be a measure of gun control.
Bad idea.
Yeah, everybody that I've heard that does something crazy with a gun except kill themselves, and those people too, they usually have a legitimate access to the gun. And it appears that most of the killings by guns are people who decide that they want to leave and kill themselves. The bad guys that go out here and shoot people, man, they either steal them or they go get them. I just, go on, Robert, quickly.
We don't have the right to kill, so therefore no one's a death penalty. But when it comes to taxing ammunition, by all means, tax the hell out of it.
Okay,
and
we'll get to
give
argue about that.
money to places like Lytle Creek so that they can repair the damage that the shooting ranges have done to the ecosystem.
Now that's a beautiful conversation.
Robert, is a separate issue.
It's a separate issue.
Oh, the same issue.
It's the same issue for Mr. Evans. It's the same issue for Robert because of where he lives and the water flow that is interrupted as it goes through the area where they have the shooting range, and there's, according to Robert, a lot of lead in that water. So we need to examine that, and you're right, it's a different issue, and we want to look at it separately.
I don't the idea of taxing law-abiding citizens who are pursuing...
Hold on, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Mr. Evans, we're not there yet.
Non-productive.
Somehow, Mr. Evans, you got to the 2-minute commercial. We're not there yet. You will have your chance. Okay. Number 65. Ooh, if I could get both you guys in the studio, I'd actually buy you breakfast. Okay. Let me get to this. Prop 65. This is about the carry-out bag charges. This Prop 65, and there's another proposition regarding the bags at the grocery store. Prop 65 says any money collected by the grocery stores for bags and stuff should be put into a special fund for environmental protection use, etc., etc. They've got another one, number 67, that says, no, you cannot charge for you cannot sell us single-use plastic bags. That's a no and can't happen. That's one we'll get to argue about next week too, because they're in direct conflict with each other. Yep, that's it. We've got 65, 66, 67, so 64, 65 and 67 are arguing with each other. Yep, 65 and 67, and 63 and 66. That's crazy. We didn't say anything about 64, guys. That's the marijuana initiative. Legalize marijuana for recreational purposes. Hello?
That's an easy one. May I? Mr. Evans, may I please?
Yes, go ahead, Robert.
All right. Proposition 64. pursuit of happiness, an inalienable human right. Now we have the Federalist Papers. Government cannot make a law that is based on false premise. Schedule 1, false premise, marijuana has no use, first violation. That's the Data Quality Act. Second item, Congress cannot enact a law that is made upon false premise. The fact that no medicinal use marijuana is Schedule 1, and therefore you have all of these enforcement laws, there you have another violation not only of the Federalist Papers, but of the Data Quality Act year 2000. And finally, Congress cannot enforce
Let me add to that.
Wait, let me finish, mi hermano. Congress cannot enforce law that is based upon false premise. DEA Schedule 1, marijuana is not medicinal use. That's a false premise. So therefore, the whole basis of marijuana law violates the human and civil rights of every single American. And the Data Quality Act 2000 does one more thing. Any and all agencies that enforce the law that is based on false premise lose their qualified immunity. And I'm not even going to touch that.
Mr. Evans, before you answer that, Mr. Torres, have you written that down and sent it to all of our congressmen? If not, I suggest you do it. We'll go back to the tape and get you to, we'll type that out.
The last portion of that act, if you enforce the law, you lose your qualified immunity. That means the prosecutors, that means the judges, that means the corrections officers, that means anyone who enforces that law. What that basically means is the Justice Department has vested interest in not complying with the Data Quality Act because all those before them have lost their qualified immunity, and then let's go after their goddamn pensions.
Well, I think the issue is that, we select who to go after all the time, and sometimes they just forgive those who have made faux pas, as you recently have. Okay, Mr. Evans, you said that you would like to make a comment on this, please.
Yes. What he's getting at is that in the Constitution it says that we have the inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, in the early 1900s, it was proposed to make drugs illegal.
All
like
drugs?
Opium and cocaine and marijuana and everything else you can think of. This case went to the Supreme Court, who found that such a law would be unconstitutional because it deprived the individual of their liberty and their freedom of choice. So to get around this Supreme Court decision, what Congress did was put the authority of drug dispensing under the control of doctors.
Very good.
Prevented doctors from prescribing medication to maintain an addict.
So,
yes, that's common knowledge.
Yeah.
Nevertheless.
Yeah. So, I want to thank both you guys for hanging in there with us today. Life has been made much easier for me because of you, and I think much more interesting to our listenership because of you. Guys, we're going to get on it again next Sunday. We're going to argue about it. Promise, come prepared, because I will too. This is Empire Talks Back. We're on the case for truth and justice, and we do appreciate you. We look for you next week, and we will be here under two circumstances. One, if the good Lord's willing. Two, if the creek don't rise. Anthony Garcia, my little master, thank you very much. Robert Torres, thank you. Leonard Evans, thank you very much. Man, you guys are tough. I love it. Love you too. See you later. Joe, good show.
You're listening to KCAA, Loma Linda, California. The best station in the nation.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
On with the show. I'm Jeff Nathanson, the NFL show for a Sunday. Let's check the scores right now. The Colts out in front of the Titans, 14-6.